A lot of people said in the comments yesterday that my video from yesterday that they had to do a double take because they thought they were watching via Westlife. I was like, what? So I went and played that video. And I was like, I sound like him. It's weird. I don't know why my voice just morphed. And I've been told that before, actually. Some people think that there's some conspiracy that I am via Westlife doing another channel. It's not the case. If it was that, then we would have, over 100,000 subs like he does. Maybe. I don't know. I love that show because there's no pretension whatsoever. The guy just starts talking. No introduction. No, not even an identity. It's just in terms of a named identity. He has a great identity, but in terms of a named identity, there's no name for it. Hi, I'm Bob. You know what I mean? Doesn't even say, hi, I'm V Westlife. I don't even know if I'm saying that right. VW Westlife, VWS Life, the Westlife. I just kind of made up via Westlife because it sounds like a word. I love the channel, but I thought that was funny. I was like, that's really funny. That's cool. Okay, guys, so we're going to take another look at this. This is the heck is this thing called? It's from Victrola. It's the one where you can put the stickers on it, as you can tell. But before that, I'd like to give a shout out to a record I discovered today. And what's interesting about this record, besides the fact that it's interesting music, is the fact that I discovered it in my own collection. You ever do that? Where you pick up stuff, you clean it, you sort it, you file it, and then you forget about it. And I was just flipping through for something to listen to today. I was listening to records all day, which was nice. It was really nice. And I came across this. I'm like, this is cool. Mr. Lucky Goes Latin, Henry Mancini. There is a Glenn Miller tie-in, by the way. Henry Mancini was in the post-World War II Glenn Miller Orchestra led by Tex Beneke. And that's kind of where he got his start. But he went on to great fame of his own. And this record, I just popped it on. I'm like, okay, this sounds cool. I like some Latin music, Henry Mancini. And it was phenomenal. It was absolutely phenomenal. It's a good, thick RCA Victor pressing, living stereo, which is the alternative to reprocessed stereo. That means this is real stereo. And it was a gorgeous, lush, tropical recording, very ambient. The only thing I have negative to say about it is there was quite a bit of organ mixed in. And like my dad, I don't really care for a lot of organ. But anyway, there you go. So that was a cool record. Let me know down in the comments if you guys ever discover a record in your collection. You're like, I own this? Okay, so here we are today to talk about this turntable, this record player right here. We reviewed this a few weeks ago. It's basically a Suitcase player by Victrola, i.e. innovative technology, that allows you to put stickers on it. For the life of me, I can't remember what it's called. If it sounds like I'm stalling, I am. There was a snappy name for it, and I'll put it in the title because by the time I publish this, I'll know what it is. But it's basically your run-of-the-mill Suitcase player, presumably the same as the other Victrola Suitcase players from the outside. And by the way, the very first Suitcase player we ever reviewed was a Victrola Suitcase player. It was that teal one. Great record player for what it was. You know what I mean? And we've talked about that ad nauseum. It's not going to damage your vinyl. It works pretty good, yada, yada, yada. And then came this, which did damage my vinyl, which really, really stinks because my whole YouTube channel, I've been championing, is that a word? Championing. I've been celebrating Suitcase record players for what they are. And everyone that we've touched, everyone that we've tested so far has worked fine. It's not the best sound system in the world, nor does it claim to be, but it's a functional, usable one. There's some stickers in the lid there. I'm going to have a word about those stickers, by the way. I still have the leftover stickers. They give you enough stickers to decorate about 45 of these. I love this Victor sticker. That is cool. And yes, if you feel the sudden need to go into the comments and tell me how this is not a real Victrola, the real Victrola doesn't, exist anymore, I will let you know that Innovative Technology completely owns that brand name. Yes, it's a marketing deal at this point. I like that one too. It's very MTV-ish looking. Yes, it's a marketing deal, obviously, but they legally own the name. So when they put their name Victrola on something, it is a Victrola. They own it. Just like RCA owned it. Whatever. It is a Victrola. It is what it is. But I digress. So this unit kind of crushed all of my opinions about Suitcase players, at least this particular one. Then I realized that they made some serious deviations from the typical Suitcase player. Yes, we have the typical Skywin built mechanism. We have the typical feature set. We've got Bluetooth, we've got line input, headphone jack, 3-speed turntable. The biggest thing you notice right up front is the stylus. Now, I've been guilty of this myself, refer to the Chuo-Denshi ceramic clones as red tip stylus. And the higher end ones, entry level ones, the Audio-Technica 3600Ls as the white tip stylus. I've done that specifically. By the way, somebody asked me if that was a commode on the front of there. It's a little phonograph. I think that's actually kind of cool. Obviously, they're trying to make it look like the white tip stylus because they're known to be better. Either that or it just ties into the color coding of the white accessories, whatever. I don't know. I wasn't sure what cartridge this was at first when I reviewed this. And a number of you pointed out, I said, that's just a Chuo-Denshi clone with a little bit different housing. And you could tell by the shape of the stylus clip that is most certainly the case. You can look at the back. See how the bottom two posts are grounded to a common ground? That's another sign of that same Chuo-Denshi clone. And it is what it is. The ceramic cartridge is fine. It's not going to damage anything in and of itself. For those of you that don't know, a ceramic cartridge uses the mechanical motion, or converts, I should say, the mechanical motion of the stylus going through the grooves. The vibration bends a ceramic rod, which induces voltage. And a magnetic cartridge, similar thing, but it basically moves a magnet between two coils. Taking a step further, a moving coil moves a coil between two magnets. But I digress yet again. So we have this guy right here. The biggest concern is tracking force, because when it carved up that record that we put on there, and by the way, let's go ahead and power it up. I instantly noticed that this thing was damaging my record. So let's go ahead and damage a record. Taking one for the team. And the point of this is we're going to check the tracking force, which I have a bad feeling is north of 7 or 8 grams, that's pushing it. There is an objective idea out there that records can withstand up to 9 grams of downforce. A lot of people think that, if you're tracking more than 1.5, 2 grams, that's just terrible. Well, as we talked about earlier this week, these ceramic cartridges have to track at 5 grams. 5 to 6 grams is their sweet spot. If you put 2 grams on this, that will damage your record. Too little tracking force can be just as damaging as too much. So to bring in a little bit of help here is my good friend Judy Collins. And you may notice up here especially different areas of wear. And that's because this record serves as my record that I'm willing to sacrifice for the video. Okay, so I'm dropping the stylus, and let us zoom in, shall we? Let me tilt down. It's happening again. So let's see if I can point to it. It's gonna be right in the middle of the stylus. Just past this area right here, you can see the white. So that means it's tracking too heavy. And Judy Collins doesn't want that to happen. Now, while my Judy Collins record may not be the one that bothers me the most in terms of, heavy tracking, it's not a good thing for the scheme of records and whatnot. My good records, would I put them on here? Not in its current state. So we got the tracking force gauge. That's the one that I had when we reviewed this. It only goes up to about 4 grams. And then we got the digital one. By the way, having both now, would I use this? Probably not, actually. Probably not. I like the exactness of this. And yes, I know it's a cheap Chinese scale. Sold under many brand names. A lot of you mentioned you have this, but it doesn't have the brand name. I don't think I even mentioned the brand name in the review. But, you know, even though it may not be completely accurate, I feel like I'm getting useful information from this scale. So let's go ahead and position this right about there. Let's zero it out. And I'm just going to start without the balancing weight on there. Oops. You guys saw that coming, didn't you? You're like, this idiot doesn't realize that it's still on. So it's probably gonna you know, peak out at 5 right away, and then we'll add the weight. But let's just try. Just for grins, let's try. Nice slow descend. Full. Okay. So we went past 5. And by the way, done videos on this, but I get comments every day about my records are skipping. Push down right here on this lift, because sometimes, see, that had a good 1/8 of an inch of play in it still. When you flip the cueing lever down, sometimes there's not enough weight to get that to lower fully out of the way. So it's kind of resting on the edge of that and not fully laying on the record, therefore letting it skip. That does help. I would say probably about 80 to 90% of cases. It's ironic that it doesn't lower out of the way considering we have too much tracking force. Okay, so now we're going to take this weight right here. It's a 5-gram weight. We are then going to zero out the scale with that weight on it. Then it's going to set back to approximately -5. That'll give us the range to really measure the tracking force. So here we go. 0 is 5 grams. Keep that in mind. So as it is about 5.7, 5.8, 5.9, 6 grams and counting. Why is it going up still? It's because this is slowly lowering. Let's speed that up. So now the little rest is out of the way. So we are at 6.47, 6.5 grams. And again, this is designed to track 5 to 6 grams in my experience. Again, mostly measuring with the analog gauge. That officially goes up to 4 grams, but if you put the stylus up to the GR mark, that's about 5, but you're so close to the pivot, the accuracy is questionable at that point. Based on what I could deduce with the equipment that I had, a lot of these were tracking 5 to 6 grams. 6.5 grams, like this one is tracking, is high. Now, the stylus itself may be partially to blame for that, or it could just be a little bit too much weight. Just a tad bit. Had it been 5.5 grams, perhaps the damage wouldn't be there. The stickers on this thing even suck. They pop off. Like this sticker right here. It's not even, I mean, we push this on here tightly and it come in here in the morning sometime or into her office in the morning and like 3 or 4 of the stickers will be on the bottom here. They'll just fall off. So be aware that the stickers feel like good, heavy, robust, glossy stickers, but they don't really, they don't hang on. That's why we got these missing areas, but they seem to stick better on the outside than they do the inside. So it's a tricky unit. You guys know that, you know, I love entry-level equipment. That's what this channel is about because nobody else does it. And this does not mean that all Suitcase players are bad. This particular one is not a great example of one. I wouldn't recommend it. But there are, you know, the Victrola, regular Victrola that we reviewed with the red tip ceramic cartridge, the Crosley Cruiser Deluxe. I never reviewed the original Cruiser, but the Cruiser Deluxe, the 2nd gen, the one that's out there now, fine. No issues whatsoever. My Christmas one, no issues whatsoever. And we'll do more videos coming up, checking and verifying tracking force on turntables. That'll be interesting. But, all right, we've gone long enough for tonight, guys. Thank you so much for being there, for hanging in there, watching this. I appreciate it, and I appreciate you more than you will ever understand. So have a great night. We will see you tomorrow.